BizQuik podcast hits on the struggles and advantages of being an entrepreneur. It's for anyone who's made the commitment to burn the boats and not look back. Are you a busy entrepreneur or small business owner trying to do it all? Then this podcast is for you. Corey and Julie will take you through the details of building a strong business. Hit the subscribe button and gear up for another episode of BizQuik Podcast.
Hello and welcome to BizQuik. This is our fifth installment of Talkin' Tacos, the very popular series. And in this series, if you've been paying attention, we are talking with Corey and his restaurant business partner, Matt Karfakis. I got it right.
Got it right. It
wow.
only took 5 times.
Look at me. About opening their new restaurant, Cabo Fish Taco, which will be opening, fingers crossed, knock on wood, in January of 2022. So today, right now, it's just me and Corey. We'll bring Matt in a little bit. We are going to talk about how quickly things start to move and keeping track of everything, and when you have to pivot, make fast decisions, and how things start to snowball. And maybe even a little bit of, from Matt, how it is now that he's full-time in the restaurant, and from Corey, what it's like trying to maintain both SB Pace and Certivium and Cabo.
Well, let's be honest. I don't do anything with Certivium.
That's true. That's
so
pretty
we
much
can go
all.
Take that off the plate there. Thank you, Stacy.
Yes, that's Stacy. Yes.
Yeah, it's things sped up very quickly. Not a surprise to me, but it's been with everything with COVID, and I hate that, a year and a half in plus, we're still blaming things on COVID and talking about COVID and blah, 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 COVID, this and that. But the reality is that's the world that we live in right now. And so when we were talking about the topic for this podcast earlier in the week, I was like, well, I'm dealing with a major issue with walk-ins right now because for anybody who doesn't know, a walk-in cooler, you've got walls and a compressor and a fan. That's basically it. So the compressor is connected to the fan blows the cold air into the insulated walls. Manufacturers right now can't get the foam that goes in the insulation, and so we put in our order knowing that there was going to be a delay, and there's so many things I want to talk about. The supplier got back and was like, cool, I got your order. And then the next day sent an email and I was like, all right, everything looks good. Lead time's 18 weeks, and, dusts his hands off and walks away. And I'm like, 4.5 fucking months? Are you serious? You didn't bother to tell me that it was going to be a 4.5 month lead time before I placed the order. And now you're just like, yep, cool. So it's just like,
see you in June.
Yeah. There was no and it wasn't a surprise to him that I was upset, because he knew what the timetable was. He knew the timeline of opening the business, and it was just like, oh, sorry about your luck. So I immediately just sent Matt a text, and I was like, drop everything that you're doing right now. Find us 2 walk-ins. I don't care how much they cost. I don't care where you get them. I don't care if they're used or whatever. Just we need walk-ins, because you can't function without walk-ins.
That feels important.
It is, if you want to keep your food and your beer cold.
Feel like yes, you do.
Yeah, if you're not,
Yeah.
If you're not cooking your food at the moment, you want it cold.
Yes. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is an important note. Write that down.
Yes.
If you're not cooking your food at the moment, you want it cold. So if you're ever thinking about opening a restaurant, being a chef, or even cooking a meal for yourself or someone you love, remember that.
Yes, I'll put that in the show notes in case you forget. Don't worry.
Thank you. You are a good show note writer.
Yes. But that's, again, not stressed out about it, because it was just like, all right, well, let's look at other options. There's other suppliers. There's other things that we can do. There's the option of building our own walk-in. We've got a contractor. We've got the materials. We got the supplies. We've got the know-how. We could just build it. We don't have to buy a prefab walk-in. So there's ways around it. And so not a big deal. It's just for that split second, I'm like, just a little communication, a little customer service. And the best part, about this company that we're working with. The tagline on all of their company emails are, "We aim to exceed your expectations." And
Fail.
well, if I expected to get this on time, you exceeded that. So,
Wow. So, okay. So I actually was thinking to myself when you were talking about it early on and what it's constructed of, I'm like, why can't you just build that yourself? So you could, because you have the things.
yeah, there's there are definite benefits to buying a prefab walk-in versus building yourself, and like you're over the course of the lifetime of the walk-in, you're going to lose money because whatever you build yourself is not going to be as efficient as whatever is made to be a walk-in. But again, not the end of the world, not a big deal.
So did you find something?
I have like half a dozen people out there right now who say they've got a line on something for me.
Okay.
I have not had a chance to call them because I've been on meetings most of today, or a lot of today. And one of the calls today, I was trying to like balance like texting with people who were supposed to be having a meeting while I was on another meeting. Oh, I know. And like one of the people was like, "Hey," like called me and I couldn't answer. Obviously I was on a meeting, and then they sent me a text and I replied back, and they're like, "Hey, can we get Matt's phone number? We don't know what it is." And I was like, "Well, if you had read the email that I sent you last night, I put his phone number in that email." But I didn't say that because I didn't have enough time. I just replied back with a phone number, and I was like, "I don't like. You're supposed to be meeting without me. Just go meet. I don't care."
So hopefully this will be taken care of. So like, what's the worst case scenario? You end up building it yourself?
Yeah. And the worst case scenario is that we just lose money over time because it's not as efficient as a prefab walk-in.
Sure. Or you could just get a bunch of coolers.
No.
And
No.
That won't work.
No, absolutely not. I like thinking outside the box though. Keep it coming.
Yes, I'm loaded with good ideas. Okay, well, let's put a pause on this and bring Matt in, and we can get his take on what it's like to go through, fire drill after fire drill, how he's faring being a full-time employee of Cabo now, and all things restaurant related. We'll see you on the other side.
Listen up, BizQuik fans. Julie and Corey are launching 2 new group coaching programs designed specifically for aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners. Small Business Startups is a 90-day program that will walk any aspiring entrepreneur through the steps required to launch a successful and solid business. The Small Business Accelerator is a 9-week coaching program that helps anyone with an existing business build a stronger foundation and create actionable goals to take their business to the next level. Check out both programs on our site under the services section, or click on the link in the show notes to learn more. Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Hey, Matt, nice to have you back again.
Hey, guys.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
So first question before we dive into anything else, how is life as a full-time Cabo employee?
Absolutely fantastic. I don't have to worry about my phone ringing or texting 24/7. Well, not yet, at least.
Oh yeah, that'll come.
Yeah,
it'll come. Say, wait,
it'll
what?
It'll come.
That'll definitely come. So things are going well. What have you? I know Corey and I were talking on the front end about, the pace at which things are moving and some supply chain issues. Which, man, I mean, we could literally talk for days about supply chain issues. So let's start with that. How are you? How's that going?
I mean, it's going. I mean, we're gonna have to scramble for a lot of things here soon.
Yeah, as you were saying right before we started this, that I was complaining about the walk-ins with an 18-week lead time, and you said that there's some equipment on a quote we just got that was a 26-week lead time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I would be appalled to tell somebody, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna be 6 months before I can even consider getting this to you." But
but we're seeing that all over, right? Like I know I heard a story recently, within the last week or two that it's impossible to find like a central air unit right now for like people that are building homes. They can't, there's no central air units to be found anywhere. And there was some other like really like, is it refrigerators? Some other appliance or like something that's key for building a new home that they don't have them. Nobody has them anymore.
Well, back in June, I believe, last time I was in Blacksburg, and I was talking to Gary, the owner of Cabo, and he was talking about the Blacksburg store there, and they had as these things happen in the restaurant industry, somehow equipment always knows to break on the worst day possible. So Friday during lunch, like one of their AC units went out, and he was able to get somebody in, like called in. They came in emergency repair to come fix it, and the guy was like, "Yeah, you're lucky." He's like, "We can't find Freon anywhere in Southwest Virginia. It just doesn't. Nobody has it."
That's
so
crazy.
he's like, "We were able to recharge your system, but like, you're lucky."
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the world we live in. So yeah, so we've got which I was not aware of because I didn't get the email, but a ton of equipment that we're going to have to go get real creative on here.
So what is that going to look like when you say we're going to get creative here? Because what I'm not hearing is that you're both. I'm guessing, and I'm going to put words in your mouth here and tell me if I'm wrong. You're not flexible on your opening date. You want your date to be in mid-January, and you're going to figure out how to do it, regardless of what that means.
Correct.
So what does that mean for things that are 6 months out for equipment? Like you bringing in like rubber dish pans to like wash dishes? Like what are we going to do here?
We're going to, so right now our equipment is coming from, or the majority of our big equipment is coming from one single supplier. We're just going to have to go to like Webstront, local use for some of this stuff that's going to take 26 to 16 weeks. That's just what we're going to have to do. We're just going to have to piece it together from multiple different sources.
Yeah, we'll probably end up having to get a lot of used equipment, which is never ideal because one thing that restaurants are good at is beating the shit out of equipment. And used refrigeration is the worst. But even if we get something that can just last us for 6 months, we'll just have to do that and just, deal with the problems of, fixing that equipment to the point where it's just like, all right, well, at least something's in stock now. Let's buy a new one.
So do they? So will this ultimately impact like your budget for opening?
No. The cost should be relatively the same. We might actually be able to save some money if we're buying used equipment. But like with the walk-in, like I was saying, we've got one of our neighbors in the space. He owns a refrigeration company. One of our partners is the contractor, so he could build us a walk-in. The guy who's building our draft tower, he's out of Texas. He's got a line on some stuff. Matt's talked to a couple people. They have lines on stuff. Like we've got people all over looking for this equipment for us right now. So we'll find something. It's not going to be what we planned on having.
Okay. That's good. So it'll be kind of piecemealed together.
Yeah.
All right. So Matt, looks like you got some phone calls to be making in your future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When we were scrambling to figure out the walk-in the other day, I watched 5 hours of how to build your own walk-in to emailing direct distributors in China, which I still haven't gotten an email back from, but, trying all avenues to try to get everything moving quickly.
That's what you got to do, right?
I always love working with distributors in Asia, because for whatever reason they feel like it's important to give themselves a Western first name, even though it's
Lenny.
Lenny or William or whatever. Like, come on, dude.
We know that's not your name.
Yes.
That's true. That is true. So what else have you, aside from, putting out fires or searching for equipment, like what else is kind of either, what else has caught you off guard so far in the last couple of weeks as things have started to speed up?
I think that's supply. Well, in my opinion, for me, it's just been the supply chain stuff. Everything else we've talked about and has been foreseeable. We even talked about our equipment being late. So none of this is really coming as a big surprise. We just have to pivot.
Yeah, and Like the equipment, like you have an idea in your head of what something's going to look like. So we want to put banners up to like coming soon, now hiring type stuff on the outside, but we don't know what we're allowed to do. So we're just like, we're going to put banners up, and I'm air quoting that we're going to put banners up, but until we can actually meet with the people in the building, figure out what the city allows, whatever, like in our mind, it's just a banner. So, we can put some stickers on the windows now, and they're big windows, so it's like having a banner, but we can't put anything on the outside. We can put whatever we want on the inside. Dumb stuff like that. Matt had a fun experience already. We posted our first ad for hiring employees, and
let's talk about that. I didn't realize that had happened. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's dive into that. First off, where did you post it?
So I posted it to multiple places, Indeed, Craigslist, Facebook jobs, and then two Facebook groups that are specific to Richmond. They're called Lindsay's List.
Okay.
And,
is this the ad that we wrote last week? Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. So, within 15 minutes of me posting, we put competitive pay in there. We got, just as I thought was going to happen, and I think we talked about before, is immediately the first comment is like, what's your transparency of pay? No one's going to want to work this job if you aren't putting what you're paying out there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's frustrating because we are going to be very competitive in what we do offer. I think it's in line with what's being offered in the area, if not in probably the top 30 to 25% of jobs like the ones we are going to be hiring for. But it's hard to get that across to people on the internet. People are going to post what they're going to post based on previous bad experiences and just project that on everybody else. So I knew that was going to happen. I eventually just turned commenting off on the article, so no one could write anything else.
Okay. Can I offer up some advice on that?
Sure.
You should probably turn the commenting back on. And you should just answer the questions, right? So if your culture is one of really good communication and transparency, which I know for a fact it is, then you should answer the question. And honestly, you could say, because if I remember correctly, the ad was for all of your key employees, like the managers or lead positions, right? So you can say, that it really depends on skill set, but you expect the range to be from X to Y. But that, there's everything is rates are negotiable, and have, just be transparent about that. Because you want people to feel comfortable asking the question. They're going to ask the question if they're going to apply anyway, right? So you might as well just be transparent about it there. But I can't remember, why did we decide not to put the rate on the ad?
Well, we couldn't figure out how to word it correctly, and because there were 3 different types of jobs, because we're just looking for management, lead type people. So there's a front of the house, there's the back of the house, like it's kind of across the board, and so we were hoping to just kind of cast a wide net and get everybody who's interested, or people who are interested. And then like the spiteful side of me wants to say, oh, well, let's just keep a list of everybody who's just giving us shitty comments and be like, make sure we never hire them. Because like in my mind, like you're on the internet. How hard is it to just send an email to be like, hey, I'm interested. What's the pay range for this particular job? And if you can't put in 15 fucking seconds of effort, I don't want you working for me.
I 100% agree. I don't disagree that I would also be spiteful and keep a list, right? But I'm not going to lie, I would. But I do think that you can do both. You can be spiteful and keep that list, and you can be transparent to say, well, we've got 3 roles here. Which one are you interested in? Right? So say that, like, because we all know that there's the keyboard bullies who are going to try and make everybody feel like crap about everything. And that might be who landed there, but you might miss out by turning off the comments. You might miss out on people who are legitimately interested and want to ask just some additional questions. So I would just turn it back on, and I would respond to those comments as kindly as I could, just saying like, hey, which position are you interested in? Happy to have the conversation.
That's
Right.
all on you, Matt. I don't know what
You don't know how to use Facebook.
what y'all are talking about right now. So. I didn't know you could comment on a Craigslist article.
I think he's probably talking about in the Facebook group is where it happened.
I figured.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just every other thing. I mean, every other place I posted, there's been no problems. And I mean, we definitely are seeing what everybody else is seeing. I think total across all the places I've posted, I think we've maybe got 5 resumes, and maybe out of those, I am only interested in maybe interviewing one. I have to, talk to Corey about this, which I haven't, see if it's worth our time to even talk to this one person. So
Yeah, so you one good resume. How long ago did you post it?
Yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
yeah, 2-3 days ago.
I'll be interested because if it's the resume that I'm thinking of, I think I went to high school with that person, so that'll be interesting.
Well, at least you know that person.
Maybe we'll find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been again. We're very early in the process right now, so I'm not too concerned about it. And I think turning the comments on is a good idea as long as we can make sure that we don't get nippy. So it's a good thing I don't have access to it. Because I probably would have liked that little rant where I was like, if you can't spend 15 seconds.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. In fact, I fully support that. But I think you want to show everybody else, like, we're not afraid to have these conversations. Sure. Our pay is competitive. And if you can't figure out what competitive pay means, then perhaps, well, there's a reason you don't have a job. Sorry, now I'm being a jerk.
Sure. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay. All right. So you've got the hiring that you're starting to look for people. And I know the timeline for bringing people in for those key positions for the leads is mid-November. Am I remembering correctly?
Assuming we can get equipment in under 6 months, yes.
Yes. So now you need to make like a list of a dependency list where can't hire people if we don't have X, right? How's the build out going? So let's talk about that for a little bit.
So it's pretty much, we got everything framed out. That's as far as we got. They're waiting on us to make some decisions about fixtures so that they can run the correct electrical and that type of stuff. So kind of on a hold right now, which isn't, right now it's about balancing all of the different people. So like the people who are going to install the floor in the kitchen and the bar need to get coordinated with the builders because, there's a certain time that's better for them to install the floor. Our Coke installer has to run lines in the ceiling while the ceiling's still open and then come back later and connect everything else. So there's a lot of like that kind of balancing stuff. The draft tower. So I found this company in Texas that's going to build our draft tower for us, but I got to coordinate them with the people who are going to install it. And they have to get coordinated with the contractor because it's stuff that they have to run through the wall or the ceiling or make, like all sorts of things like that. So it's a giant balancing act when it comes to all of this stuff, just making sure that everybody's talking to everybody. And I found out that one of our partners, the contractor, I believe he's a bit of a control freak. So he doesn't like it when things change and he's not notified. And so I'm like, cool, I'm just going to pass it all on to you then. Here's all the people you need to talk to. You coordinate it.
That makes it much easier. It's interesting when you were saying all that and talking about, all this coordination and coordinate this person with that person and the tile guy because you can't, or the floor guy to get the fixtures and whatnot. When I was, building a house, this was like back in 2010, like I built a house in the Philadelphia area. And I can remember the builder sending me like, hey, Julie, here's the places you have to go for. Here's where you're going to go for like kitchen hardware. Here's where you're going to go for your kitchen cabinets. Here's where you're going for your tile. Here's who you have to talk to for the paint. Here's who you have to talk to for like all the different pieces. Like here's where you're going to go pick out like what you want for your like the plumbing, the sink, like all of the like the faucets, all those things. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, he just has negotiated prices with these guys, and that's why. And every time you'd go see, like when I'm with the only place that didn't do it for me was the tile guy, which we all know. I had like a $32,000 tile bill when I went to close on my house, and I was like, what? Like, yeah, you just have a very expensive master bathroom. But I'm thinking, you go, like if I went to the cabinet person, they're like, okay, you can pick any of these. They're included in the price. If you want any of these, it's an upgrade, right? So you can pick whatever you want, but they're very clear on what's included versus what's an upgrade. And I really assumed that it was probably just a pricing thing, right? Where this company negotiated the best price with my builder. And my builder was a really small builder. He was great. I loved him. Joe DeSantis is his name. But I realize now that it was all about all of that coordination, right? You gotta, because I don't have to know anything other than I want these cabinets, and then Joe and his team work with the cabinet people to say we need these cabinets by this time and blah blah blah. And everybody working together behind the scenes, that part that like you're so intimately involved in right now with coordinating all that stuff. And that's a lot of stuff. A lot.
It is. That was a long story.
I'm sorry. Was it boring or was it at least entertaining? Matt, were you entertained by my story?
I was entertained by your story.
Yeah, Corey was doodling, so he wasn't even listening.
I was taking notes.
Are you going to put in the show notes long story by Julie?
I'm taking notes of how many times I've heard that story and how many times I don't want to hear it again.
You're so mean. Why are you so mean?
I don't know. Anyway, all right. Well, we are starting to run out of time here.
We've got 3 questions.
All right,
Let's do it. So this will be interesting because, the topic has been a little windy today. But first question, Matt, I'm going to throw it to you because you really haven't had much of an opportunity to talk today. And frankly, I don't want to hear from Corey right now. What's the one thing you'll do better than anyone else in the area?
I'm still convinced that our culture is going to be better than anybody else in the area.
Okay. Corey?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that too, the people side of things. I think that we'll do that well despite all the negative feedback already.
You're not getting negative. You had one person ask.
I don't know what's going on.
All right. Corey, what makes you nervous about opening the restaurant? Lead times?
No, the lack of communication and transparency with our vendors right now, especially that one particular vendor, the one who exceeds expectations.
Sure. Matt, how about you?
I mean, it's the lead times. I mean, that goes hand in hand with what Corey just said.
Yeah, it sure does. Final question. Matt, going to go toss it to you first. Why will Cabo be a success?
I mean, because we are adapting to whatever's thrown at us. I mean, we're pivoting real quickly and we're not panicking.
Okay. Corey?
We got all the right people. So despite everything that's going on, I mean, we've got a lot of good people around us that will help us be a success. Excellent.
All right, so here's the scoop. This has been great. We're going to do one more episode at least of Talkin' Tacos. So you can check back in 4 weeks and we'll have another episode and we'll find out what those lead times on equipment look like. Because I think now everyone wants to know what's going to happen with the equipment. People are going to be on the edge of their seat for weeks waiting to figure it out. So that'll be great. Of course, we can find, and remind me again, Matt, is it Cabo.Richmond or just Cabo Richmond?
Cabo.Richmond on Instagram.
Yep, Cabo.Richmond on Instagram. And you're also on Facebook?
Yeah, just Cabo Fish Taco Richmond.
Excellent. So that's where you can find them, and you really should go follow them and like and engage with their social media accounts. And before we roll into the outro, Matt and Corey, is there anything that I can do for you with respect to Cabo Fish Taco?
Find us 2 walk-ins in less than 6 weeks.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I can do.
That's on my list as well.
I know some people. I can make an ask. Okay. All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, Matt, for joining us once again. And, of course, Corey, thanks for playing the dual role of the co-host and the guest today. You are spectacular at it, but you're just spectacular in general. So thanks to our listeners for tuning in. We wouldn't do this if it wasn't for you. And that's true, because if nobody was listening, why would we record a podcast? Everything you want to know is in the show notes, including we're going to put a shout out to Corey Barrier. Even though we didn't talk about him today, I just feel like we should put something in the show notes for him.
Sure, why not? We don't know really if anybody's listening to us. We do have a strong contingency in the Philippines. So.
And Canada. People in Canada love us.
So hello to the Philippines. If you want to work with us, reach out to us. We have social media, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everything you need to know about us is on our website, sbpace.com.
Also, go out and download and rate this podcast, please. 1 star, 5 stars. We don't care. Well, we do. We want 5 stars. Subscribe and give us a review. And reach out to us about any topics that you're interested in hearing more about, because we aim to please.
And don't forget to purchase our book, Seriously Now What? A Small Business Guide to Disaster Preparedness. There is a digital workbook download online. It's a #1 Amazon bestseller. And if you've already purchased it, don't forget to rate and review it.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Corey.
And this was BizQuik, and we are breaking down supply chain issues across the globe.